Hey y'all. So, funny story. Maybe not that funny. Entertaining for me at the least. I have wanted to make a video about swagger for a little while now. It is a term that I used a lot in the last video. It's a term that I use a lot with my clients. It's a term, excuse me, that I love. It feels good to say it. It feels good to embody it. I'm a yes. Like, people have always asked me, in terms of relationships, well, what type of person are you attracted to? Or like, what's your style? What's your type? And my answer has always been, and will continue to be, I'm attracted to swagger. I'm attracted to someone who holds their space in a very particular way, and that comes in a lot of different packages. It comes in a lot of different ways. So that's an energetic thing, and I know it when I see it, and I'm a yes to it. So that's an aside. However, I've wanted to make this video about swag, and I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of different reasons, and at least I hope it is. And I also want to acknowledge the fact that the female clients that come to me and want to reconnect to their feminine essence, want to reconnect to their femininity, really what it ends up doing and what ends up happening is they remember their swagger. They remember how to connect with their expression of motherhood, their expression of sexuality, their expression of sisterhood, their expression of spirituality, and all four of those things combined from a female perspective, from a feminine presenting identity, that brings us to our swag, brings us to our swagger. And what's really interesting about this in this moment is that for the most part, I feel the most swaggy when I'm like in a high vibration, when I'm like feeling myself, when I'm like maybe getting ready to go out, if I've been connecting with someone where there's really good chemistry, if I'm just driving around, listening to my playlist, like whatever. And so it's funny because that is actually not really the space that I'm in right now when I sat down to make this video. And I was having a really, really difficult time getting myself to kind of like what felt like kind of jump up to that place. And so I took a pause, I took a moment, and I went to Polo, a friend of mine, Marco Polo. I don't know if y'all use it. I use it a lot in my work. It's great. Anyways, that's a plug for Marco Polo. Sponsor me, Marco Polo. I went to Polo, my homegirl, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I can't connect, I can't get, and I'm like, oh, that's right. Because swag is not always upbeat. Swag is not always prideful and boastful and, like, as I said in my last video, throwing your shit around everywhere. At least not to me. And this is what makes swagger such a spiritual thing, such an emotional and intimate and important thing. Because swag is about connectivity. Swag is about carrying yourself in a way that is truthful and aligned and honest and real. Because when you are all those things, the exchange that you have between people, no matter who it is, whether it's a longtime friend, whether it's just someone you bump into, whether it's a stranger, I mean, the bottom line is that when you come from that place, the exchange you have with someone, the energetic, the channel exchange between the two of you is clean, it's clear, and most importantly, it's safe. And at the end of the day, from a very foundational root place, we all want to feel safe. We all want to feel heard. We all want to feel seen. And someone who has legitimate, beautiful swagger, they're able to do that with basically everyone they come in contact with. And the reason that they are able to do that with everyone that they come in contact with is because they have been able to do that with themselves. They've been able to understand themselves as an expression of the universe. They've been able to understand themselves as connected to everything around them, every person, place, and thing. They've been able to understand themselves as a multifaceted, very dimensional being. So when I say to you from a feminine perspective, it's about spirituality, sexuality, sisterhood, and motherhood, I mean that in all capacities for whatever gender or identity you claim. the most important thing about that is that we are all things at the same time. You know, from a female perspective, we are told a lot of different things as women. We are told that we're supposed to be like good moms, and we're told that we need to be like, you know, attractive and eye candy and like keep our partner like excited and invested. And we are told that, you know, we need to work really hard and be a leader in our community. And we are told that we're supposed to be, you know, forgiving and soft and gentle and a million other things. And what's really important about that, and what ultimately allows us to find our swag as women, is that although it can feel or seem overwhelming or not fair that we are asked, there's so much that's asked of us, it's actually an invitation for us to find our way back to our truth. It's actually an invitation for us to remember and recognize, or as Marianne Williamson says, recognize, which means like re-understand or redefine. It's an invitation for us to remember that it's not a weight or a pressure to be all those things. It's an honoring of the fact that we have the capacity as women to be all those things, because we legitimately do. And it's not just in women, right? This is a feminine energy thing. The notion of being multiple different things at the same time and having access to tapping into those different frequencies or those different channels of expression at almost the same time, or I will say at the same time, that's a skill set. That is a skill set that feminine energy brings to the table. So to be female identifying or female presenting, that gives us a little bit of a leg up on the familiarity and comfort of being multiple things at the same time. And when we are able to allow ourselves to be that, when we don't get like salty with ourselves for being seemingly oppositional in the same moment, having seemingly opposite thoughts or feelings, when we don't get upset with ourselves for being that way, that's when we start to remember and embody and carry a certain swag to our presence. That's when we can really show up in a way that is clean and truthful and genuine and authentic. So to kind of go back to the beginning of what I was saying, I was coming initially from this really linear place of like, oh, this is what swag is about. This is what I want to make this video about. And then I forgot that even when I am feeling a little bit slower or a little bit softer, a little bit more, maybe even dense, so to speak, with my vibration, the mere awareness of that and the allowance of that and the acknowledgement that is just as powerful as when I'm like strutting down the sidewalk feeling myself, is what makes it swagger. Because I'm connected to myself, because I am fully seeing myself, fully honoring my energetic presentation and my experience in that moment. And when I do that, I provide myself with a sense of safety and security and anchoring and acknowledgement. And also when I do that for myself, I don't look to someone else to do that for me. And that's really important, because we have a tendency, not just as women, I know I've spoken a lot kind of towards the feminine expression in this particular video, but as a people, we have a tendency to look to other people to fix our things. We have a tendency to look to other people to co-sign or to validate or to see us. I've spent a lot of my time in my life just wanting to be seen. I just want to feel heard. Well, that's on me. If I'm not feeling that, then I need to take a look inside myself and ask, why do I not feel seen? Why do I not feel heard? What are the people, places, and things that I am engaged with? What are the scenarios and the situations that I'm putting myself in that are creating these experiences? Because if I'm the point of creation, if I'm the point of origin for all things, and I'm not happy with the things that are being reflected back to me, well, then that's on me, you know? What do I need to do different? How do I need to shift my perspective? You know, if I feel like someone's not seeing me, how can I see myself and honor myself? That's swag. That is how we walk around with swagger. That's how we embody this empowered sensibility. And so sometimes it looks like feeling myself. Sometimes it looks like wrapping up in a blanket and pulling my hood over my head and just kind of going in and cocooning, because that's what my body wants. That's what my energy is calling for. Sometimes it feels like being of service because I just have all this love that's like gushing out of me that I want to give to someone else or something else. You know, sometimes it looks like fucking anger, man. Sometimes it looks like a powerful expression of energy that wants to be released. But either way, however it presents itself, however it manifests, the whole point is that it comes from an internal place of knowing. It comes from a resilience and an allowance of self. That's swagger. And that's something that everyone feels when you are around them and you're carrying that swag with you. That inner knowing of self, that allowance of self, that's swagger. And it changes your vibration, and then therefore it changes the vibration of everyone and everything around you. So all of a sudden, the scenarios that maybe at one point left you feeling unseen or unheard, those scenarios are different because you're different, because you are carrying with you your essential nature. You are carrying with you your divinely given swagger. Because we all have it. We all carry it. We just don't allow it to be what it is in truth. So my invitation for you today is to ask yourself, as at least a starting point, when do you feel that sense of swag? When do you feel that sense of like, I am like in my space, I'm in my body, I'm in my experience. I am fully present and witnessing myself in whatever energetic expression is coming through me. Does that even make sense to you at all? Do you have questions about that? Do you feel like you're able to connect to that? Because if you're not, let me know. That is my jam. That is what I do. That is what I'm here for. It's a language I speak very well, and I'm here for it. I'm here for you. I've got space and time for you. Let me know if you need help reconnecting to that swag, whatever it looks like for you. Because I will tell you that yours is not going to be mine, because it's not supposed to be. You have your own unique medicine. You have your own unique swag, and that's what the world is calling for in all ways from all of us. So if you need help reconnecting to that and finding that, let me know. But otherwise, like, let's talk about that. Let me know, what are the scenarios? What are the situations? What are the times when you have felt the most connected to yourself and witnessing of your experience? Because that's a sure sign that we are tuned in to our source, to our essential frequency. And if we can continue to harness that and cultivate that, we're gonna walk around with a lot of swag, and we're gonna get all the things that we want. And that's a very tricky subject, getting the things that we want. But if you're in that really aligned place, that really anchored place, you'll know what that means, and you won't be intimidated by it, and you won't feel bad about getting the things that you want. Because we're all destined and we're all meant to get what we want. Because we all want the same thing at the end of the day. We all want love. We are love. We give love. There is only love. I love you.